Hello and welcome back to the Money Mindset Hub podcast. I'm your host, Carla Townsend, a money mindset and success coach who helps purpose driven women in business dissolve their money blocks so that they can create a life and business that they never want to escape. And I am so excited to bring this episode to you. This is actually a replay of an episode on Katrina Lumsden's podcast, She Designed a Life She Loves. This is where Katrina actually interviewed me. And I love that she was able to share this with me so that I could repurpose it here to all of you in this beautiful community of now 128 countries that have downloaded this podcast. I cannot even believe it. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being here and listening. I know that you're going to get so much out of this episode. So let's get into the episode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of She Designed. Today, I am joined by a beautiful guest, Carla Townsend. Carla is a money mindset and success coach who empowers high-achieving women to dissolve their money blocks and charge premium prices so that they can create a life and business they never want to escape. She's the host of the Money Mindset Hub podcast, and it has reached 113 countries globally and been recognized in magazines for her work that has helped hundreds of women globally to transform their relationship with money, all while she was raising 3 beautiful young children. This is such a juicy episode that I've decided to bring it to you as a 2-part series. Today we'll be diving into your money archetypes, how your beliefs as a child affect your money mindset as an adult, and Carla shares her own 5 steps to manifesting with us. So let's dive in. I am so excited to be speaking to Carla today, and I cannot wait for my listeners to just listen to this episode. I really want to welcome you to She Designed podcast. And if you want to introduce yourself to my listeners and just tell them a little bit about you and your journey into becoming a money mindset coach.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for having me, first of all. And where do I start? It's so funny how many times you get asked this and then you go, oh yeah, I've got to go back a few years. So I am Carla Townsend. I'm the founder of Money Mindset Hub, and I'm a money mindset and success coach for purpose-driven entrepreneurs who want to dissolve their money blocks and create a life and business that they never want to escape. I think at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. And how I got started. Okay, so give you the Cliff Note version. So it was back in 2019, at the beginning of 2019, I just welcomed my second child. I now have 3. And at that point, I had always been really good with money. You know, my husband will openly say when he met me, I was working 4 jobs. I was one of those crazy people. I'd work 7 days a week, 4 jobs. Everything would have to be put away and set aside. And I'd just always been really, really good with my money. I'd always had money ever since I started work. And I used to work in corporate, was in management at the age of 23. So I was a really good worker, that's for sure. But then when I started to have kids, everything started to shift. And I feel like for every mum listening that also understand that, every time you have a child, you feel like you're reborn again. And unfortunately, that second time on maternity leave, it was so stressful because we had just bought a house a few months before and we had a whole heap of unexpected expenses. Now, we'll talk about the archetypes soon, but I'm an accumulator. That's my money archetype. So to be thrown big curveballs like that and to feel like I had to live week to week, that is my nightmare.
Yeah.
So I was just like, what is this? I hadn't lived like that because it's just not the way I was taught, raised. It's not my natural way of operating with money, I suppose. But then it taught me this really valuable lesson that, hang on a second, how come I can be so good with money, yet here we're thrown like quite a few curveballs and I'm ending up in this place and I just feel lack and I feel scarcity. What is it? And then that's actually when I realized that money mindset was a standalone thing, because it's truly about your attitudes, your behaviors, your beliefs about money, but not just money itself. It's also around people who have more or less of it than you. And that was really interesting, being someone who was always, I suppose, motivated to have money and to build this way. I always had dreams as a kid, and maybe you did too. I always had these big dreams. I'd end up on stages and all this stuff. But I had a bit of a strange relationship with money. Like I was a bit of a hoarder. And then I realized throughout that whole year, when I began to heal my relationship with money and work on it so much, that's when I realized, oh, hang on a second. My whole life, everybody's asked me about money. because I did think differently. I behaved differently. I was just different when it came to it. And that's kind of how I found myself here, because I thought, well, I don't want to keep going back into corporate forever. I wanted another baby, right? So we had 3 and 4 years.
Wow.
And yeah, back to back. I just wanted to get them done, okay? So we got them done and I thought, I don't want to do that. I've always wanted to help people in some capacity. I thought I was going to be a podiatrist, Katrina. That's what I thought
Wow,
I was
that's
going to be.
different.
So different. Yep. I was going to be a podiatrist. And then I found myself here because I started asking the questions and looking for my purpose.
Mm.
And my purpose always came back to, what are you naturally good at? What do you love? What could you learn about and talk about for hours? And I'm always like money. And it's
Absolutely.
so taboo, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to remove that taboo, because imagine a world where every kind-hearted woman has really deep pockets. Imagine the good that would be done.
Oh, God, yeah. Yes.
So long story. That was a long story, but there we are.
That's fine. We've got time. So what is it that you do? What do you do for people? How do you help people with their money mindset? Or is that a really, really, really big question?
Well, to be honest, I could explain it. I think, first of all, let me sort of explain where the beliefs come from and go a bit deeper into what money
Yes,
mindset is and
that'd
how
be
it
great.
is kind of formed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I've said, your money mindset is based on your attitudes, your beliefs, your behaviors about money and people who possess it more or less than you. So it's not just about the rich people, but it's also about the poor people who kind of
Mm.
have this ego, and it's really tied into your self-worth. But the way I see money mindset in particular is it's a form of personal development. So it is not something that you do once and then it's done. It is so layered. So your initial beliefs about money, they come particularly from most aspects in your life, but particularly as a child.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they're from your childhood conditioning, your environments, your generational trauma, your societal norms, religion, experiences, peers, teachers, you name it, media, movies. We all see those different money dynamics and
Yeah.
the things that play out in the movies. That's where we pick up most of it from. Now, whether that is true or not is what we end up learning that we need to debunk, right? So
Mm.
I help people actually understand, first of all, awareness is the first step in any sort of change. You have to understand what's actually underlying here
Mm.
and really start to look at your patterns. And I don't mean just patterns of thought, but your patterns in your behavior, your patterns in your triggerability. When something you don't like or something where your ego stems, like it's basically uncovering your shadow when it comes to
Mm.
money. And the way that these beliefs are formed from everything I said, but it's honestly just repetitive thoughts.
Yeah.
So your repetitive thoughts, the constant things you're hearing, the sayings, the whatever's going on. As children, it's very black and white. They don't understand context.
Mm.
So this is a great example, actually. When kids will pick up coins and someone could say, oh, make sure you wash your hands because money's dirty. They mean 1,000 people could have touched that coin and maybe not washed their hands. So maybe wash your hands.
Yes.
But kids
Yeah.
pick up money's dirty.
Mm.
Something
Wow. Yeah.
as simple as that, they
Yeah.
pick up more money's dirty. So then if they think that again and again and again,
Mm.
that's what becomes your beliefs. So repetitive thoughts become your beliefs.
Mm.
Every belief then triggers an emotion, and that will dictate your actions, your reactions, and your inactions where you don't act at all. And that causes your results at the end of the day, because your mind doesn't know the difference between what's just purely a thought and what's reality. It doesn't know what's real or not, what's fact or fiction. They just become your beliefs. Your thoughts become your beliefs just through repetition and dominating your mind.
Mm.
So it's really quite interesting and it's really quite deep, but yeah, you've really got to start there. But I think there's one thing too, I just want to preface though. Your current reality right now, so for everyone listening, your beautiful listeners, your current reality right now, like maybe you're not at the stage you want to be. Maybe you're not making the kind of money that you want to make. Maybe there's lots that you're left to do, or there's things that you need to address. I just want you to know that your current reality right this second is all based on your past actions, reactions, or lack of action.
Mm.
And that means that you always get to choose different and you can create a totally new domino effect moving forward. Because all of these money blocks are metaphorical blocks. There's actually nothing physically stopping you from the money you desire apart from your beliefs and what you believe is possible for you.
Yeah, that is so interesting. And I think even in my own upbringing, I can see where I was brought up that money's hard and that, money doesn't grow on trees. We hear that all the time, and that you have to work hard. You have to work three jobs. And I can see that in my husband. That's something he believes to his core. And my boys, I can see them now following in their dad's footsteps, that they have to work really long hours or work really hard. And I'm on the other side. I'm the complete opposite. And that's something that I've had to learn and shed a lot in my own journey. But I'm trying to say to them, there are so many different ways that you can earn an income, and it's not attached, doesn't have to be attached to working 70 hours a week and burning yourself out. I think that's a really big thing that I want my boys to learn.
100%. And you know what? I have this conversation a lot. It was actually something that wanted to address here too, because
Yeah.
there is this underlying belief. I think the biggest thing that has impacted my own success and evolution in business and being an entrepreneur
Mm.
is that I really had to address that belief, because I was the same, right?
Yeah.
My parents had 4 kids by the age of 27. They both predominantly worked 2 jobs for most of my childhood. And I saw them go without, just so the four of us had the best that we could have, the best education
Absolutely.
and all that sort of stuff.
Mm.
But it was this belief that you need to work harder and harder and harder. And obviously, yeah, like I said earlier, my husband met me. I was 20 and I had 4 jobs. I was working 7
Yeah.
days a week, and I was also studying. So
Yes. Yeah.
I had to overcome that. I think one of the biggest things for entrepreneurs, for everybody, not even just entrepreneurs, but I think everybody to understand, is that hustling harder is not always the answer. Yes, there's a place for hard work. I think anything that is worth it and anything really great that you want to build and create in your life, then hard work is a necessity, but hard is subjective too. And hustling and then burning out constantly, that's not the answer. But, and this is actually probably the best example I've given a few times, but if working harder truly equated to being rich, then the working class
Mm.
would be the richest,
Yeah,
wouldn't they?
100%.
They're
Yeah.
the ones that do. They work the 70 hours plus a week.
Yes. Yep. And, like what you were saying before, as an entrepreneur, there are definitely seasons when you have to work your little butt off. You are doing the long hours and you're putting in, the work. But that is to grow, to learn, to expand, and then move into that next phase of your business and life. But for my husband, like I've been saying to him, you could do consulting. And I've sort of drawn up a bit of a plan for him to move out. He's in construction and he works really long hours. But there's that fear. There's that, it's so ingrained in him that, but if I'm not working all the time, then how can I earn that much money? So, yeah, there's a lot of work that's got to be done.
The way that our brains are wired too is we love to overcomplicate the process, because we think, and that's especially when we have that underlying belief that money's hard to earn. To earn more, I have to work harder. So then our brain loves to add in extra steps, but there's always a more efficient way to get there. And obviously there's nuances. It depends what field you're in. He's in construction, same as my husband. It's very different. It is
Yes.
different depending on
Yes.
what your qualifications are and what you want to do. I know for my husband, he's like, no, I'm not going to go start a plumbing business. I actually don't want to do that. That's not what I want to do. But, for many people, that's the thing. So
Yeah.
it's good. Of course, you were finding another way for him to earn another income and make it
Yeah.
less. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's seasons, right? It is.
But also, like you said, that particular job, and in a lot of jobs, there'd be people listening and saying, like, but in my job, I have to work those hours to earn the money that I want to earn. As you said, in certain professions, it's definitely there.
Yeah. And also, we've got to remember everything has a cost too.
Mm.
And you've got to weigh that up. But at the same time, this is the unfortunate thing. And this is something that it just come to mind then as you were talking. But the fact is that more money is not going to solve your money problems for most people. For people that still have a lot of work on their money mindset that needs to be done, more money is not going to fix it.
Mm.
Because the more money you earn, the more money you spend. There is plenty of stories where, there's people earning, say, $50,000 a year, and they're the rich ones. They feel rich. They're so abundant. And then there's people earning $300,000 a year and they're broke.
Mm.
That
Yep.
is a prime example of why your relationship with money, your money mindset is so damn important, because money is one of those things. Like, you know, we live in this era. Money is a necessity to live the life you want to live, to put food on your table, to put a roof over your head. It's just a necessity. It's not good or bad or anything like that. It's just this neutral resource that us as human beings, we put an emotional attachment to. Our worth is tied up into how much you earn, how much you have. It truly is. So
Yeah,
we
it
need to
is.
be able to cut that cord between your self-worth and money and see it for what it is and just be smarter with it.
Yeah,
That's all.
definitely. Are you into manifesting?
Oh, absolutely. The way that I look at manifesting, I have like a 5-step simple process that I go through. I take all my clients through this too, especially when it comes to anything specific that they're wanting. But the way I look at it is, it's so simple. Okay. So everyone can get one hand out. It's just declutter, decide, be, do, have. That's it. Right. That's my 5-step process to manifest anything. And it works. Let me tell you, it works.
Yes.
Oh, I'll go through them. So decluttering is really around, it's decluttering and uncovering all those beliefs and those triggers and everything that's going on under the surface that you may not even be aware of. It's also linked to like physically decluttering everything around you that's not serving you or that you're just keeping. So physically, emotionally, energetically decluttering throughout your life. And then deciding is where you decide, what do I actually want? Because a lot of us make decisions based off what we think we should want, or what we think will make others proud, or what we think success and peace is going to be created through, but it's not really what they want. So decide what you want. And if you struggle with that, because I know a lot of women struggle with this, a lot of women just struggle with being able to decide what they want and actually voice it. But tell me what you don't want.
Yeah.
Because the opposite of that is what you do. The opposite of that is clarity. And then B is really around becoming your higher self and being that person. So connecting with her. Who is she? What's important to her? What does she desire? What does she want out of life? Because I think it's actually funny. So it's my daughter's 8th birthday soon. And she asked Google this morning how many weeks she's been alive when she turns 8.
Yeah.
It's like 2,900 and something. And I asked, and it was like, you know, nearly 13,000. I thought, oh my God. So if I make it to 68, or, you know, let's say we round it up, if I make it to 70, I've only got about 13 to 14,000 weeks left.
Yeah.
And that's when I thought,
hang on.
Wow. When you look at it, yeah, hang on a second.
Yeah.
I even know that there's calendars you can get that you can actually like cross out a little box, and that's 1 week if you live to like 80. So could be a morbid way, but also could put it in perspective to stop wasting your weeks.
Yep.
So
get out there and live.
Exactly. So yeah, who do you want to be? Right. And then the next is do. What do you need to do? What do you need to change? What do you need to just say, who cares, and just go for it? Because I think a lot hold themselves back as well. A lot of women, I do see this a lot. One of the biggest challenges when it comes to money is around this belief of what will people think, though. It's that fear of success and being treated differently. And we'll go into that in a second. But what do you need to do to actually get to those goals and become that woman? Because I think, becoming that woman, you will naturally attract those results because you will take the action. Doing is around taking the action. And I think that is the most important piece of actually manifesting, because it's not wishing upon a star.
I was going to say, I think some people think that manifesting is just all about putting it out there to the universe and I'll receive it. And you've still got to do the work. Yeah.
100%. And it's also around rewiring your brain to see what's possible. So there's a part of our brain, it's called the reticular activating system. And we can prime that to teach it, to show us more of what we want. But in order to do that, we need to decide what it is that we want. And then we need to build on that self-worth, that self-belief. And through doing that, you will naturally begin to see more of what it is that you want. And you'll see opportunities, you'll see solutions, you will see the next step to take. And the more that we take that and we trust our intuition, because women are so intuitive, but I think in our culture, we get taught to not think like that. We get taught to sort of think like, I don't want to say more like men, but it's more structured approach. Whereas women, we really need to trust that intuition.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then the last step is have, and that is about receiving. And that, again, is a big challenge for women because people pleasing is something that comes up a lot. But being able to have is to actually be able to receive and hold the money, the manifestations, whatever it is that you desire when it actually comes, without the self-sabotage. And the
Without guilt.
self-sabotage comes when we're not aware.
That's so interesting. I love the way that you describe that. And I mean, I have manifested beautiful things in my life, but it has never been without the work as well. And I think the biggest lesson for me was to let go of the outcome, to not try and figure out how it's going to happen, but just let it go. And then when it happens, it's never the way you think that it's going to come to you. It's always in a way that you think, wow, would never have thought it'd happen like that. But here we are. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So you mentioned the archetypes before. I have done your money mindset, your quiz, and I am a romantic. That was the sort of top one, was romantic.
The pleasure seeker.
Yeah. Yep. So like, do you want to go into that? As I know, it's very detailed, and there's a lot in it. And if anyone wants to learn all about this, you can head over to Carla's Instagram and dive into all of your courses and things. But if you want to just explain what they are and why it's important for us to know what type we are.
So, I mean, who doesn't love a personality quiz, right?
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to money. So your money archetypes, they're essentially your money personality. That's the way I like to look at it. And it's basically a model of your patterns, your habits, and your behaviors that you naturally gravitate towards in your life when it comes to money and anything related to money. So these are often very unconscious, which is why they're so meaningful, because it gives you so much awareness as to what's really going under the surface. So it's a great tool to uncover what's going on and what's innate to you. So I found out that my top one is an accumulator, like I mentioned before, but it's actually the top 3 that the most important.
Right.
Do you remember what your number 2 and number 3 were?
It was nurturer. And when you go through them, I'll remember which one it was. I can't remember the other one.
Yeah. Well, mine are accumulator, ruler, maverick. So it's the banker. I'll go through all of them. I'm the banker, the rebel with the cause, and the empire builder. It makes sense. So I just want everyone to know, though, when it comes to this, so the quiz is on my website. You can go to moneymindset.com/quiz, and it's there. You can take it, and it's going to tell you what your archetypes are. So I want you to look at the number 1 first, but your top 3 are the most influential. Now, if you have a tie there, scroll down to the bottom of the page. There's a tiebreaker question, and you can go there and figure it out. You don't need to retake the quiz or anything like that. But I really want you to understand, when you do these quiz or any sort of profiling system quiz around your personality, that they're not hard and fast. So the profiling system, it's going to show you the different parts of your personality that are your strengths, right? But you can also decide to change them and to challenge them. I don't think that your personality is something that you are just born with and it's innately you and it'll always be you. We get to evolve. So I want you to look at that too, and not make it right or wrong what your archetypes are, and it will show you your strengths. There'll be your strengths. It'll show you your challenges. It'll show you some of your shadows with money, and you'll start to realize, like, oh yes, that's spot on, but I don't want that to be spot on. And that's okay, because it's an opportunity to get to know yourself on a deeper level and why you consciously and unconsciously act, think, and behave the way that you do. But it doesn't have to remain that way. And that's what I love to help people to uncover and go through. So I'll go through the 8 different archetypes right now, because it might make a lot more sense. But you've got the accumulator.
So I actually said the wrong thing. I'm ruler, maverick, and romantic were my top 3.
There you go. So you're the empire builder, the rebel with the cause, and the pleasure seeker. Yeah. I've actually had a few with your combination.
Okay. All right. Well, you go through them all and we can, Yeah,
you'll love it. So the accumulator is the inner banker. The alchemist is the inner idealist. Then you've got the celebrity, who's the inner big shot. The connector, who's the inner relationship creator. The romantic is the pleasure seeker, as you know.
Yeah.
The ruler is the empire builder. The maverick is a rebel with the cause. And then you've got the nurturer, who's the inner sponsor, which really just means, supports everybody around you. Typical nurturer. So I would definitely suggest going and doing the quiz. You'll find out what you are. And then I have a video. So once you've done the quiz, you'll get an email with your results automatically. And then you'll be able to click on the link for your top archetype, I just suggest watching your top archetype. Watch the video and it will explain it a lot more. And then if you want to, I do money archetype intensives, which you can book as well. It'll just be underneath the video. There's a link to book if you want to have one. It's just a one-to-one, and I go through these in depth and really relate it to where it is that you want to go and how are your archetypes either supporting or inhibiting you, and what do you do about it? I just like to give people really practical advice based on where they're at. That's really interesting to do. So yeah, I do have that if people want to go and do that.
Yeah, great. That's so good. It's really interesting though, isn't it, when I saw it and I was a romantic and the pleasure seeker. And I don't think I was that in the past. I think that is where I'm at now, because I know I've done a quiz before and I was the nurturer. That's why I said nurturer. But I'm not so much that anymore. I'm very much about living life and enjoying life. And I think that what I've been through in my life and just health scares and things that go on, it changes your whole perspective. And I have become the romantic who wants to seek pleasure and travel and enjoy life so much more.
Yeah. And that's beautiful too. And just so you know, sometimes I have clients who are the nurturer and the connectors, and they think, oh my God, but is that going to make me successful in business? Because I'm not a ruler, I'm not a maverick, I'm not an accumulator. Usually those top three, they're usually the most prominent results that I see come through. So most entrepreneurs that take the quiz, they have one of them three in their top three, or if not, a combination of a few. But I have seen and supported clients who are connectors, who are nurturers, who are alchemists, who are every single archetype and total different combinations. And I promise you that it does not matter what your archetypes are.
Yeah.
It is always around your decision and where you're going. You just need a bit more clarity. But I think the biggest thing and the most important thing is to understand, what are your shadows when it comes to money? What are your challenges when it comes to money? Especially when it's linked to your archetype, because they are your next step to evolve and heal your relationship with money in order to call in your next level, in order to call in your next income bracket. It's usually those things that are inhibiting you from getting there, but they're often just unconscious and not even totally aware of them. When I see the women's eyes light up when I've said, what about this? Or what, I don't know, have this way, I suppose, of asking the questions that needed to be asked. It's like every time I've done a reading, I used to call them a reading. I call them an intensive now because it's my own spin on it, I suppose. But I see like there's this path here. Like this is where they want to go. This is where they're at. This is where they want to go. And I see this path and they're not aware of it until I start asking questions and they're like, oh, I get it. And it's the best thing ever. It is the best thing ever. But that's always what is blocking them.
Yeah. So you actually will do an intensive and you will walk them through and talk about what their archetypes are. And then you give them the tools to actually make that transition to create a better mindset when it comes to money, to attract money.
100%. 100%, because it's really quite interesting. But I couldn't tell you how many times I've got beautiful feedback from them as well, saying they were the thing, or I 4 times my business and all this stuff because I didn't even realize that I was doing this. And it's awesome to see.
Yeah, definitely. So I have a lot of clients, and I know that there's a lot of women listening today in the interiors industry or in any small business. And I know this is something that would be coming up for you a lot, is that when I'm working with them and they and I look at their pricing, it is always way underpriced. And if I suggest to them that for example, I did it with a client a couple of months ago, that we triple the price that she's already got, she nearly fell off a chair. She was like, what? Oh, I can't do that. And the funny thing is that once we actually went through the process and the mindset and all of those things, she's now selling these higher placed and priced offers like hotcakes. So I would love for you to sort of just share some tips for my listeners and how they can move through those kind of pricing and money blocks that are stopping them from earning the income that's out there for them that they should be.
Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite things because it was also something in the beginning of my business. And I think constantly we're always pushing ourselves a little bit more. Yeah, always. We're going through it. But I think that when it comes to pricing, it's something that you acclimatize to. So when you have a dysregulated nervous system, when it comes to different pricing, what that is linked to is because you don't believe you can hold that yet. You're not used to it. So that have piece, that last stage of manifesting, let's say it is this money that you want to bring in, the income level you want to bring in. If you haven't been able to acclimatize to that yet and feel safe with that amount of money, safe with receiving that amount of money, safe with holding it, safe with the responsibility that comes with it, it's actually never about the money. This is a really interesting thing. It's not about that amount of money coming in. It's the responsibility that you either consciously or unconsciously see coming with that.
Right.
It is accompanied by it. So you've got to learn to be able to, I suppose, grasp that number. What's that income? What's that price? Let's say it is a particular thing that you're selling. Come to terms with that price and begin to like think about it, visualize it, dream about it, and also think, what's the worst thing that could happen if I sold that? That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing that could happen if you sold it at that? And then it starts to bring up all of these attachments, these unconscious attachments, ideas or notions that came with that price, that came with charging that, being the person that charges that, being the person that makes that kind of money. There are all these underlying beliefs that come. Again, it's like layers. Like money mindset is like layers. It's just an onion. You're just going to keep peeling them back. It doesn't matter how many times you raise your prices. There'll be one.
Yeah.
So a really powerful way to, I suppose, shift from that scarcity to charging a premium price and raising your prices is that you've got to remember that you're always going to be too cheap or too expensive for someone.
Yeah.
You've just really got to price in a way that's appropriate for you and your business. And one of the worst things that I see people do is compare their prices to somebody else in their niche, especially if they're selling a similar thing.
Yeah.
Because the truth of the matter is you don't know what the be all and end all is in their business. You don't know what they're going for. What is their goal? And how much backing do they have? Their business, they might be in business because they just love the outlet, but they might not actually need their business to support their lifestyle. So that's one thing you've got to be really careful of and not doing that. So don't price your business and your offerings based off what other people are doing. You really need to know what's coming in, what's going out of your own business. What are your goals and what sort of pricing for all of your products is going to make sense to make sure that you actually just stay in business? Because you don't want to underprice yourself so much that you end up going out of business.
We're becoming resentful too towards people, like towards your
100%.
clients. And I know that happened to me. It was like I was starting to get pissed off with my clients because I didn't feel like I was being paid enough. Well, that's on me. That's not on them.
100%. They're just getting a good deal.
Yeah. They're not going to tell me to raise my prices.
They see it as getting a good deal. And also you've got to be really aware too, when you are looking at other people and what they're pricing, you are pricing based on their money mindset, their relationship with money, their self-worth when it comes to money. So it's based off their own limitations and their assumptions as well. So you do not want to, I suppose, copy or be in line or stay affordable because other people are doing that, because it's not based off your own journey. And women are so quick to underestimate and undervalue the amount of experience that they have. I know I was guilty of this in the beginning too. And then I just thought, just play with it. Let's just play with it a little bit. What if I doubled my private? Like my private mentorship now is 5 times the price per month, if not maybe more, than what it used to be.
Yeah.
Like when I first started.
Yeah.
If you had asked me 6 years ago, when I started business, would I be charged that much more per month? I would have been like, absolutely not. But it's an acclimatization. You get used to that number and you can hold it, and you also build that trust and that confidence within yourself that you can hold the responsibility that comes with more. I have a resource called the Profit Formula, which is literally a plug and play file where you can plug in all of your different offerings, your different price points, and you can map out your overall revenue and also your profit, because it has a spot for expenses in there as well. So that's something that I created because it is amazing. So if you want to map out your next 10K, 20K, 50K month, I'll give you the links.
Yeah, we'll pop all the links for that archetype quiz into the show notes. Yeah, I was going to say when I'm working with my clients and we work out a price, it always goes back to them. Like, you need to sit with that intuitively and feel into it. And if that feels right for you, if it feels in alignment for you, because if you don't fully believe in the value that you're offering at that price, it comes across in the way that you sell that to people. And I think that this woman, for example, when I first went into it and we came up with this price and she said, oh, no, I don't know. I don't know. And then I said, well, just sit with it for a while. And she came back to me and she said, I put the price up and I've sold one. And she said, and now it just rolls off my tongue. It's like, this is just,
Yeah.
it is what it is. And she did have a woman say to her, that is ridiculous. And she kind of just went, okay, bye. You're not my client. And so it was so beautiful
Yeah.
to see this transformation from charging, I think it was $200 for a consult up to $795. And she gives
Yeah.
so much value in her consult. So it's so worth it. And the difference
Yeah.
it's made to her income, she was working a second job. She's not working a second job. Like not just that, but everything else. Yeah,
Mm.
it changes your life.
It does, and it really
Mm.
can. I find too. So in that moment, right?
Yeah.
In that moment when she raised them, she had two choices. She hold the faith in that void while she's waiting for confirmation,
Mm.
right, from a
Yep.
client,
Yep.
or she could have gone and just discounted or put up a sale. The most important thing to do is when you are raising your prices is that you back it. You believe it and you hold that faith, because the only way, and it's uncomfortable, I've seen it, it's so uncomfortable for so many people, and I've done it too. I'm like, oh my God, is anyone going to pay this? And then they do, and you're like, oh, probably,
Validation.
maybe that was a bit
Yeah.
under. I probably should have done it up.
Yeah.
Again, acclimatize and slowly raise it as you start to build that confidence. But you need to be able to hold that faith and hold that void until it happens and believe that it will happen, but keep showing up as the woman who is getting that, who's booked out at that. You've got to, again, go back to the 5 steps. Declutter, decide, be that woman who holds that void.
Yeah.
Do, raise your prices, hold it, do whatever you need to do to show you the authority, show your evidence, show that you're the obvious choice.
Have a bit of fun
and then
with it too.
have when it comes in. Exactly. You've got to have fun with it, because otherwise why would you be doing it?
Yeah, that's right.
it's
I
your
mean,
outlet.
it's all about experimenting and playing and sort of just saying, okay, well, I'm going to give this a go and I'm going to see what happens. What are some tips you would share to embody the mindset of a wealthy woman?
First of all, I think that you need to be able to learn how to cultivate an abundant mindset and be able to connect with your higher self. So I actually am doing a podcast episode today. So it is so funny that you put that there. But I'm doing a podcast episode today, which is based on how to cultivate an abundant mindset. I had one a long time ago. It's episode 23, but I keep getting asked this question quite a lot. And I thought I'm just going to re-record. So that'll be episode 134. I'll drop on Monday. I'll give you the link to that. But other than cultivating an abundant mindset, which I'll teach you how to do in there, because it's longer than a short answer.
Yeah.
But then to actually go into embodying your higher self, I really want you to understand and really sit with it. But who is she? What does she desire? What's important to her? And begin to think and feel and behave the way that she does. So that's really how you begin to bridge the gap between your current identity and the new identity that you're forming. That's how you begin to bridge that gap. So it's all around identity work, self-worth, self-belief, and noticing your shadows that come up. Notice the doubts, notice the fears, the limitations, the assumptions that you're making about you and what's possible for you. All of the triggers. I always say to everybody, every time you are triggered, it's an opportunity to look inwards and go, why is this annoying me? Maybe you see someone charging the kind of money that you want to charge. And at first you think, that's ludicrous. And then you go, oh, wait a second. Why do I think that's ludicrous? Probably if I sit with it, it's because I'd love to do that, but I'm not there yet because of XYZ. Okay, what do I now do about XYZ so that I can believe and I can be that person so I can do what she's doing?
Yeah, it's that question, why not me?
Exactly. Why not me? And instead of running from that, you learn to actually be able to integrate that. It's honestly so transformational. And there's one belief that I see come up a lot. One of the biggest probably challenges for every woman. And this is the fear of success, the belief that, but what if people come after it? What if the people closest to me change? What if they treat me differently? More money comes with that, more responsibility. Like I said, it's not about the money, it's actually the responsibility that comes with it. So in order to be able to embody your higher self, I'm assuming that everybody listening knows who her higher self is and also has attached an income bracket to her. And maybe you haven't thought about that, but now that I've said it, you're like, oh yes, that is correct.
Yes, absolutely.
There is definitely a bracket. So I want you to think that when it comes to the fear of success, because it's actually not the fear of failure that I find comes up a lot, it's actually the opposite, is that they don't want to be too successful. So it's not the money that they're scared of. It's actually what comes with that money. It's
Wow.
the result of that. It's the expectations. It's the uncommunicated expectations that come from other people. But I think a really good point for everybody listening is that money is simply an amplifier. It's only going to amplify who you are innately and those characteristics. So, you know that rich people are greedy, that saying rich people are
Yeah,
greedy.
yeah.
Everybody's heard of that, right? And of course, there are going to be observations where you are like, yeah, actually that person really was. Like it was the truth. It was the truth for them, but it doesn't mean it's going to be the truth for you. So if you are someone who is naturally greedy and selfish, then it's going to amplify those things. That if you're someone who's really caring and you're really generous, it's going to amplify that.
Yeah.
So these fears around success and what could come and why most people hold themselves back from raising their prices, from putting out the offers, from showing up, from being visible. But these fears, they only arise when there's these shadow sides of us that we haven't actually healed and integrated. And so that's why the shadow side of money is a really big part of my work and what I do. And I highlight to people what's actually coming up that's through everything that they think. It's that unconscious and it shows up. But it's really around that self-acceptance and that self-worth, because you will only ever charge what you believe you're worthy of charging or what you think that people will pay until you do the work, because you're capable of achieving so much more and charging so much more. And everything you want, everything that you desire to create, you can receive, but it's actually you, again, that last step, have the receivership. That's usually where most women trip up, or they get it all at that. It's like the story of, when people win Sats Lotto. The reason why most end up in a worse off scenario, even after they've won the money, they end up with nothing or in the negatives, is because they did not become that person who could actually hold it, hold that money, hold the responsibility, hold the expectations. That's probably the biggest piece of the puzzle. You can create whatever you want, you can charge whatever you want, but the fact is you don't want to sabotage yourself when you receive it and end up in a worse situation, which that's when your shadows are so important. And honestly, yeah, that's probably where the archetypes are so important, because it's going to highlight them innately, what's coming up, and then how to move through them. I am actually recreating a program that I did a long time ago, which was around the archetypes and the shadow sides of the archetypes. So if this is, ringing true and you're thinking, oh God, hang on, maybe it is that responsibility piece, then it's called Abundant Alchemy and I'm bringing it back. So
wow, that's cool.
again, I'll give you the links,
Yes.
but
Lots of links.
it's just the shadow sides.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, and I know because I met you, Carla, in a mastermind, and I know for me, I can have everything working strategically and the processes and systems and everything working right in my business and think that I've got the right mindset. But this money mindset piece is another thing altogether. And if you don't have that money mindset all worked out and you really understand, like you say, where your shadows are and where you actually need to put the work in, it's very, very hard to succeed, because even if you've got everything in place, there's still that block. And I've seen this repeat for me in many different iterations of my business until you kind of go, oh, okay, I see what's happening here. And then you've got to switch it around.
And again, it's going to keep coming up. So I think this is, like I said before, money doesn't fix your money mindset problems, right? More of it's not going to fix it. It's really internal, because I've worked with women who are startup through to 7 figures, and it's the same things that are kind of coming up, just in a different fashion, in a different way, a different kind of behavior. And I think if you can just learn to treat all money the same, treat every dollar like it's 1,000, treat every, whatever it is, whatever the money is for you, just remember that it's really subjective, and just got to be able to neutralize your emotions around money to not make emotional decisions with it. It's just a resource and you get to choose how you use that.
I think that's a really good point, neutralizing your thought process around money, because when you put it on a pedestal, money on a pedestal, and you just look at it like it's the be all and end all, and sometimes when you do have the money, the shit that's going on in your internally, whether you have anxiety or whether you've got issues with your partner or whether you've got this and that, that's all still there. You might just have the money that, takes that financial pressure off, but all the other shit's still going on.
Yeah. Well, exactly right. So I think, yeah, most people think, but when I get the money, then I'll be happy because I
100%.
need the money before I can do the thing. That
Yes.
it's kind of like the chicken or the egg. What comes first? I think that your appreciation for life and your just feeling at peace and feeling calm and grounded. And I know it's so taboo, right? Because we hear it all the time, but like just being grateful for what it is that you have. I think you always have to, especially entrepreneurs listening to this, right? I feel like it's amazing to always have one foot in that gratitude, that appreciation for everything so far and everything you've been through to get to the point where you are, right?
Yeah.
And then also have one foot in that drive, that ambition. But you need to be able to find that balance so that you're not always in what's looking forward, because if you're not, you're never present.
Mm.
What's the
Yeah.
point?
Mm. It's always more. What's
Yeah.
next? What's next? What's next? And sometimes you've just got to stop and
Yeah.
go, look what I've achieved so far. I have to remind myself of that all the time. I am a more person,
Mm.
and I have to
I'm the
stop and
same.
go,
I'm the same. I get
whoa,
it.
look what you've achieved. Like,
I
I went for a
know.
walk down the beach today with my dog at like 9 o'clock. I had a little bit of a sleep in, and it's like I created that for myself. And you've got to sometimes just stop and
Hmm.
say, well done.
I know. And I'm guilty of it too, right? So I'm the same. I'm always like, okay, what's next? What's next? Like, I feel like I'm on hyperdrive most of the time.
Yeah.
But but at the same time, I think I've just learnt to, especially if you've got little kids and you're listening to this, or it doesn't really matter what age, but especially if they're little, I've still got one at home.
Mm,
But I think you've really got to be really good with your boundaries. That is probably one of the biggest things that I've learned in growing a business is you need to be really clear on your boundaries when you're working, when you're not working,
mm,
because I find too the line kind of blurs between when am I mum and when am I CEO. And that was a real struggle for a few years trying to work that out because I didn't have God, until this year, I only had 6 hours a week kid free,
yeah.
and in the first, I think about 18 months of relaunching when I had three kids 4 and under, I had 0 kid free days. So it was like I was doing what I could do in nap times. You can hear my little baby, my youngest, in the background of podcast episodes in the
Yeah.
beginning because I was just doing what I could do.
Yeah.
So I think just accept where you're at, what you're doing, and definitely have that one foot in drive, but be so clear on your boundaries
Mm,
because I think women underestimate this too. But you can get so much done in such a short amount of time. And if you give yourself, if you have 2 hours a day and that's it to grow your business,
mm,
you can do it. And you will get a lot done in those 2 hours. I can promise you that. Because if you give yourself 8 hours, you're probably going to do the same amount of work what you could have done in 2.
exactly.
Yeah, just do the things that move the needle.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the rest. Sit in gratitude for everything you've created so far. And it's okay to still be looking at the future as well, but don't miss the now, especially when you have little kids. Like, like how fast
Yeah.
do they grow up?
And that's it. I have a lot of women I work with and I know that are listening who are juggling
Mm,
the motherhood and the business, and that drive and passion that they have to do something for themselves
mm.
and yet still want to be present and there and not miss a moment with their children. And that's one of the main reasons a lot of us go into running our own business, because we want to be able to have that balance. And what I see is that they go into business for themselves to be able to be around for their children, and then all of a sudden they've created this monster and they're putting the children into
Mm,
care more, or they're missing out on things, or they're cranky and they're tired and they're overwhelmed. So it's kind of like, come back in and reassess your values and what's really important to you in this season of your life. And it might just be that your
yeah.
business ran away from you, or it might be that is where you're just loving at the moment and that you would like to have more time for your business. It's just really assessing what's right for you personally.
Yeah, I love that you said that too, because I sort of wish maybe someone had said this to me in the start because
Yeah.
I was like a crazy person. I initially launched my business in 2019
Mm.
and I was more so I was a money coach for like families and mothers at that point. And I did that for 12 months and then I took a break to have my third child. So I took about 10 months off. Then when I relaunched, it was June 2021. I literally had a 1-month-old baby, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old in tow, 0 kid-free days.
Can't even imagine that. My God, Carla.
People were like, "You're a psychopath." I was like, "Yeah, I know, but like
But I'm passionate.
this is what I want to do."
Yes.
this voice just got louder and louder. And it was like, if you're ever going to do it, you're going to do it now. And I was like, all right. So I did. But I wish someone had said to me back then that it's okay to just gradually build it. You don't need to try and keep up. You don't need to, I suppose, look at all the strategies, right? Like you don't need to do all the strategies. You don't need to do the next best thing. And
don't need to say yes to everything.
No, you don't need to. You've got to remember what's important. And I sort of wish I had lent into that a bit more. I mean, look, it's hard to say because from that point, I was still, when I went back to work for a little bit after that, it was about 2.5 years from that point that I could go full time in my business. And so it was from my work ethic in those years. But I also felt like I kind of missed a lot of my kids being really, really little in that moment because at the same time, I know you're going to laugh because at the same time, I was doing my financial counseling diploma whilst pregnant and having a newborn. And then I launched my business. So
Of course
relaunched my business. So
projector. And then you fell in a heap, didn't you?
Multiple times.
Yes.
I was just like, yep, I'm going to study. I'm going to get my qualification. I had a newborn baby like on the calls, so I didn't fall behind. I kept up with everybody.
Yeah.
And I passed, obviously. But at the same time, I was growing a business and raising kids and and it was COVID. It was COVID.
Yeah.
So like, anyway. But I look back then and I think I thank her, but there are definitely ways that I could have done that a bit smarter and have been a lot more grounded and in the present moment with my kids.
Yeah.
And it's all around thinking about your future self, right? Instead of tackling every day, like waking up every morning and going, okay, what's on for today? Do it the day before. Do it on a Sunday even. What have I got for this week? Right, I've got this. Okay, great. How can I get ahead? Meal prep. Do your groceries. Whatever you got to do to make your life easier, do that. Yeah. Because everything that happens in your life, whether it be with your relationships, with yourself, with your significant other, with your children, your happiness, are you refreshed? Do you train? Do you exercise? Like all of these things, your nutrition, so important. All of these things, if you are not nailing them and you're just like full trying to grow the business and you're lacking every other aspect of your life, you're going to fall in a heap and you're not going to be able to be the best mum, the best wife, the best CEO,
absolutely.
all of that.
Definitely.
And it flows into your business. It flows into your energy. It flows into the way that you sell, the way you show up, the way you price, the way you create, all of it, I swear. So look after yourself first. It is okay to be selfish.
Yes.
Because you need to look after you. Otherwise you have nothing to give. And yeah, I think if I could go back, that's probably what I would have told myself to do.
Yeah.
So they don't fall in a heap.
Yeah, exactly. This has been such a great chat. There was one thing that I would love to just bring up before we finish up. And when we were in that mastermind, I remember you came in one day and you were talking about that you really had a passion to leave a legacy for your children. And I really loved that. And it wasn't something that I'd ever really thought about for myself. It was just, I'm out here just doing my thing. And I just wanted you to speak into that a little bit and just share that with my listeners, because I think it's a really important thing for us to think about, because what we're doing and creating now is something that will be passed down and remembered through the generations. So
I think for me, my biggest driving force is that I don't want to get to the end of my days and have regrets that I didn't do what I really wanted to do. And like I said earlier, I always had these visions of being a child. You know, I thought I was going to be like the next Britney Spears. So it turns out we're a bit different. But I thought that I was going to be, you know, in magazines, on stages, all that sort of stuff, being a pop star. Anyway, it's different. But I saw myself leaving something else behind. I mean, I did the magazine thing. I have one up here and I'm in it. But that's cool. I get to keep that. I get to show the kids and they were like, whoa. But I think at the end of the day, I look at my business, I look at my entire body of work as one day I'm not going to be here and I want my children to learn these lessons. I want them to build a life and business that they never want to escape. I want them to believe in themselves. I want them to follow their passions, whatever that might be. And I sure as hell know the link between your money mindset and the amount of success that you'll let yourself create and receive and appreciate. So there's this massive tie. So I want to make sure that my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, they can come and listen to my podcasts. They can read the website. They can do the programs, whatever it is. One day I'm going to write a book. I've said that a few times. I'm already writing it, but that is another thing. You know, I want to leave this behind because I want people to understand how important their money mindset is,
Mm.
because it is the thing that will either support or inhibit what you want to create and how fulfilled you are in your life.
Yeah.
So to me, it goes far beyond what I'm doing. And I honestly think too, I think maybe it is just being a mum too, but I really want to be able to teach children. So it's always been a big vision for me, is to be able to support children, because it's just not something we are taught in the education
It's so
system is around.
needed, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not just money and how to do money, but it's your mindset behind money and what is possible for you. It goes a lot deeper. It's around your identity, who you are, what's really possible, not what you've been taught, what is the truth.
Mm.
And, kids aren't really taught that in schools. I mean, that's probably a whole nother conversation, but kids aren't really taught that in schools. They're sort of set up to become an employee, unless you're the maverick, right? The maverick, the rebel with the cause, you will rebel against that. And usually, they're the ones that you see doing their own thing, but there's space for everybody to create what it is that they want to create. But I always remember my deep, deep why is because everything I'm creating, every offer, every program, every podcast, every post, everything I create, I know that it's going to live on beyond me. And I always think my children, as they get older, will want to read this.
Yeah.
I've even got my books up here, my personal development books and all of that, with all the underlines and all the things that I've just taken out. I want that. I want a full library so my kids can be like, oh, I'll learn about this today and learn about this, because I think I would have loved that, Yeah, so your body work is just something you're going to leave beyond.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we're so lucky to be in this generation where, we've all come from probably mums who very rarely went out to work in a career that they really loved. It was more just they went and just got a job to bring some extra money in, if at all. They were homebodies, they were the nurturers, in the past. And so we now are creating and passing on this new legacy and this new way of empowering women to step into their own passions and be who they want to be, regardless of whether they're a mother or not. That is a part of them, but it's just a part of you. There is another whole soul and part of you that needs more to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And I just love that we are in a position to be able to empower women to do that now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as you go throughout this journey, especially building a business, God, you learn so much about yourself. But I think you realize, like, wow, so much really wasn't supporting me. Like I honestly just thought I had to go to school, get good grades, go to uni, get a degree, make 100K, get married, have kids. Then I'd be successful. Like that was my vision of success. I always wanted the husband and kids, and I'm so grateful for that, because honestly, I married the man that I always dreamed of, and I had the 3 children that I was manifesting. Like, I kid you not, there is pictures in my living room which are like these sketches of the baby. You might have seen them. The sketches of the baby. I had a picture of 3 on my vision board years before I had 3. And I was like, oh my God. And now I've got those exact pictures up there. So
it's cute.
everything, like I truly feel now that I never want to leave this life. Like I truly have created the life that I love, and I never want to escape. It's the most beautiful thing. And being able to teach others how to do the same and really feel grateful no matter what the situation, no matter what happens, because there's going to be tests, right? And I always look at them like, especially in business, they're just little initiations into your next level. And every time you feel that resistance, every time you feel that hesitation, every time you are absolutely scared shitless, it is because your next level is just there.
Yeah,
it is right
definitely.
there.
Yeah.
And it's just the universe saying, do you really want this?
Mm.
And you have to be able to become comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's how you're going to build this beautiful life. Like, I just want everyone listening to build something that they are so proud of, because at the end of the day, I don't want any of us to have any regrets and think, what if I had have done this? What if I had have done that? I should have done this. I shouldn't have cared so much what people thought. I should have just charged that price. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And this is exactly why I wanted to have you on She Designed a Life She Loves, because I see you as someone, I see you, working and doing your thing and being a beautiful mum and still following your passion and designing a life that you love. And I'm so glad that I was able to have you on here today and have a chat and just share you with my listeners.
Thank you so much for having me.
Such a great episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed recording it and chatting to Carla. She is such an inspiring and passionate woman who really truly wants the best for her clients and to help women to just break through those income ceilings and just create a life and design a life they love, which is what we're all about over here.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any of the incredible future episodes and guests that we have coming up for you. The world needs more kind-hearted women like you with deep pockets. I'll catch you in the next episode.